I'm doing great. I'm doing great, Skip. We're a couple of weeks late with the lot opening up because our guy Horace Grant had a lot to say yesterday.
Yeah, that's true. You know, for me, I'm just so happy this Last Dance is finally over and we can quit talking about how obviously Michael Jordan is so much better than LeBron ever dreamed of being. I'm glad about that.
It's only obvious in a handful of people's eyes, yours and a few of those Jordan fans. So, but other than that, this thing is still up for debate in some people's eyes. Not mine, because I already know GOAT James got this thing.
Of course. All right. Well, as much as we have all enjoyed The Last Dance, not everyone is so happy with what they've seen, including a former teammate, Horace Grant. And remember, he reached out to us, to Shannon Sharp, directly last week, and now he has so much more to say. Grant refuted Michael Jordan's claim that he was the locker room source for Sam Smith's famous book, The Jordan Rules. Horace went on to say that if anyone was a snitch, it was Jordan for calling out former teammates for doing hard drugs and partying in his early days in Chicago. So, Shannon, I know you guys did have that conversation, and you said he had plenty to say. So whose side are you on here?
Well, Skip, I think what happened is that this book brought up some memories because if it serves me correctly, Skip, Mike thought at the time that the book came out that the source of a lot of information that Sam Smith had put in his book came from Horace Grant. Well, like a lot of other things, Skip, people had forgotten that. Maybe he said that, but people had forgotten. And then when this documentary comes out, it brings that all back up. I was like, hold on, wait a minute. I wasn't a snitch. I didn't Sam Smith and I were friends then. We're still friends to this day. But Michael played golf with Sam Smith. Michael invited Sam Smith up to his room. How do we know Michael didn't say some of these things? And so it brought up some painful memories from Horace Grant because the one thing, Skip, you know, you don't want to be labeled a snitch. You know, Tekashi 6ix9ine know full well what that snitching title gets you. A lot of people look down upon you for snitching, especially, Skip, if it's things within the team that no one would really knew about, and it's like Horace is giving out family secrets. And Horace is like, I'm pushing back against that. I think Horace isn't the only one, Skip, that doesn't like the way he was portrayed in this documentary. I guarantee you, if you put Scottie Pippen on a lie detector test, Scottie Pippen wouldn't like the way he's betrayed because Horace also said something. Why was the hell that Scottie not going into the game in 1994? Why was that in this documentary? Michael Jordan was not even on the team. So why would you bring that up? You brought up the migraine. You brought up the bad back. You make Scottie looks bad. You talk about he's selfish. And one of the things that I gathered, and that when I talked to him, Skip, is that he's like, Sharp, you know where I'm from. Ain't nobody taking no food off my plate. He said, you can ask anybody on the plane. Yes, he did say that. But I said, F you, and I stepped to him, and he didn't move. And so a lot of things that what he said to me, he relayed in this. And I told him, I said, I don't feel comfortable. Because I called him back again that night, Skip, and I said, what do you feel comfortable with me saying on air tomorrow? He said, hell, I called you. Say everything. And I told him just like this, Skip, and I called you and told you. I said, I don't feel comfortable saying everything that what he said. I would like for him to say that because I don't want something get misinterpreted. Well, I said this and I didn't say that. No, I want it to all come out of your mouth. And I think yesterday he verbalized what he felt, the frustration. And he said it, Skip, if Michael had a problem with me, come to me like a man and let's settle it. Now, we can do that or we can do it another way, however he chooses he wants to do it. But I can tell in him talking yesterday, and I can tell when he spoke to me last week, he was very frustrated with how he was being portrayed. And he was very disappointed. Like he said, Sharp, he is a great, all-time great player. But y'all can miss me with that leadership. And one more thing, Skip, before I turn it over to you. Leadership is not always about trying to get someone else to do something. You know, there are times that Mike would ride a guy on the football team, and I would go to Mike and I would say, Mike, let me take it. I got it from here. He's like, 84, are you sure? I said, Mike, let me take it. See, that's also a part of leadership, Skip. Sometimes leadership thinks that you always have to be in the front position. But sometimes leadership comes in the form of, hey, you run interference for something else, and you handle that, and guys appreciate that also. That's all I'm saying. But what Horace was saying, Skip, he was very disappointed in how he was portrayed in this documentary.
Okay, so first up, Horace Grant is welcome on this show as soon as we can get back and get stabilized in studio, as you point out. So I don't want to speak, good. I don't want to speak behind his back or out of pocket over here where he doesn't have a chance to respond. I do want everybody to know he did get a chance to respond in the documentary. They did interview him. I'm not sure they asked him some of the questions on some of the more controversial topics that got brought up. But at least Michael Jordan allowed the producers to go find Horace Grant and interview him for the documentary. So you got to give him some credit for that. Now,
Skip, before I go any further, Skip, before you go any further.
All right.
Before you go any further, he said they asked him a lot. He said, but if it was anything negative about Michael, they edited that out. He said there are a lot of people that had speaking parts, but if they didn't speak favorable, it got cut out because Mike had final say.
Okay, and obviously, as you and I made clear from the start, this was a so-called quote-unquote documentary. It's not a documentary, it's an autobiography. It's Michael Jordan signing off on everything that's in there. Let's not mistake it. Let's not try to doctor it up or pretty it up in any way, shape, or form. Michael had final say over every last little thing that went into that quote-unquote documentary. It's just his story in his view through his eyes. That's all it is.
Correct.
And I did think they did do it in many surprisingly objective ways because they dealt with the gambling issue. They dealt with other issues in Michael's life. They dealt with the quote-unquote bullying, as you call it. Michael allowed all of that practice footage that no one had ever seen before that had been archived that showed him quote-unquote bullying, or as I say, motivating other players by harshly getting on them, by ridicule. We saw Scott Burrell. And so the point is, Michael allowed a lot of objective things to get into the documentary. Now, back to Horace Grant. I've always liked him. I've always believed in how he played. He did play hard. He played the right way. He had a very good career. It lasted 17 years. That one year that Michael went to play baseball, Horace Grant made the All-Star team. I take none of that away. He has credibility in my eyes. But what seemed to really set Horace off was an interview that Sam Smith did. I think it was like the first week the doc hit in episodes 1 and 2. Sam Smith did an interview on San Francisco radio. This is just a random San Francisco radio interview in which he brought up the plane food story, where they're flying back on the team plane, and Michael told the flight attendant, don't give him a dinner. He played like, you know what, he doesn't get to eat tonight, which you could see is the way Michael was. Well, that's what stung Horace the deepest to me, because I'm sure he goes